Hello, welcome back to Jack's Coffee Break. Merry Christmas to you. So we are doing a tier list today, and since it's Christmas, I figured, you know what, might as well bring in the family. So this is my lovely husband, Thursday.
Hello, everyone.
And we are going to be ranking which armies you can unwrap at Christmas from Warhammer.
Specifically Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, Warhammer 40k. So, for those of you who are not in the know, Warhammer 40k, the models tend to be a little bit out there. Some of them are fine, you know, they're not gonna upset any senses. And some of them are not that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're gonna be ranking them. We have a whole bunch of armies. We also have our tier list section here. We've got It's Probably Fine at the top. We have Christian relative check. Thursday you suggested prudish relative check. Yeah, so for me this is a Christian relative check. This is the if your sufficiently Christian relative looks at this, they're going to have a lot of questions for you. But at the same time, you know, prudish might be a good intermediary. Go ahead.
There's a wide range enough in that category that some are cool and some are, well, you're just in it to criticize other people.
Yeah. And I want to clarify. I'm not talking about your Christian relative who is normal and goes to church and donates to the poor. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about your Christian relative TM. You know, the one who has spicy takes about certain shouldn't be political topics.
Yeah.
That one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next we have There'll Be Questions. Something about the model invokes questions. Something about the army invokes questions. And you may or may not want to have to answer those questions. You know, just a possibility. Next we have Only Your Coolest Relatives. So, you know, maybe don't open these in front of your mom, but, you know, your cool cousin who you hang out with, you know, maybe go drink on the holidays with, that relative is probably going to be okay, but maybe not your grandma, you know?
The people you hang out with after the party.
Exactly. Yeah. The people you want at the Christmas party. Next we have Keep It on the Tabletop. So there's going to be some models in Warhammer where they are going to make sense in the context of the hobby and nowhere else. Period. Just keep that on the tabletop. You know, if you collect a specific army, maybe ask your relatives, hey, did you buy me this year? Okay, cool. I'm gonna open it in my own time, you know? And then lastly, not even at gunpoint. It will be self-explanatory. Do you want to add anything, dear?
I think that pretty well covers it. We are going over the army at large. I think we're mainly looking at the starter pack.
Yeah.
But it's more of an in general statement, so.
Yeah, we're not going to be breaking down, like, specific models. This is just, like, a general guideline. So, starting off strong with Chaos, Thousand Sons. So, these guys are worshippers of Tzeentch, Lord of Change. And the Space Marine part, I think, is probably fine. Like, they're very Egyptian flavored.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell that they're Chaos. In fact, when I first saw them, when I was first getting into the hobby, I just assumed that they were on the Imperium side.
Yeah. So they're like, the Space Marine aspect is going to be fine. Now, the Chaos Demon side is a little bit more spicy.
Can we look at the starter pack?
Yeah, we can.
Like we said, those initial Space Marine types, they're cool. They just look like Space Marines, but pretentious. And it really depends on how observant your relatives are. Because on the starter pack, you've got the Marines in front, and then behind them are the little blue goat demons.
Yeah.
Which could cause questions.
A lot of questions, yeah. There's a lot of, like, the Chaos Demons in that army are really, like, they're either birds or they're like blubbery squid ooze things. I'm gonna say, like, they're not the most horrific, but they're definitely not, like, once you get past the Space Marines, you're not passing the body horror check. So where are we thinking? Coolest relatives?
I would say there will be questions.
There will be questions. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Like, physically, the models are not all that extreme, especially for Warhammer, but they, like, you're gonna get some questions about what's going on here. Okay, moving on. Next we have Adeptus Mechanicus, one of my favorites.
And overall, they're good, but the starter pack does include servitors. Convicts turned into war machines.
Oh yeah, it does.
So... And also just the overall general vibe. They look awesome, but the kind of, steampunk body horror.
Very much. Like you're not gonna get past the body horror on this one. It can't go in probably fine unless you want to purely pass them off as these are robots. And a lot of them don't even pass that check. So how are we feeling about confronting a prudish relative with the AdMech?
With the AdMech, yeah, I don't think the servitors would do it. For the most part, when they're on mechanical horses or when they have their, Galileo-ish wings, that would be fine, but it's just the servitors. Those are, in many ways, they're kind of the darkest unit in AdMech, so...
Yeah, that's true. So I think definitely there's going to be questions, though.
I'm putting them there, too.
Yeah, and once you actually get them assembled, I'm gonna say probably not even at gunpoint because they're just so spindly. They're so fine and delicate. This is probably not an army you want to collect if you have small children. Just because, like, even adults who are trying to be delicate will snap these guys in half. They're so spindly. But they look really cool.
Oh.
Just, be aware, once you get them assembled or if somebody is gifting you pre-assembled minis, maybe don't let anybody younger than, like, 20 have anything to do with them because they're so delicate. So next up we have Eldari, our space elves.
Now, assuming your relatives don't know anything about Warhammer and they're just looking at the box, I'm gonna put it at probably fine. If you have to explain them, oh, they're space elves. They're the high space elves. You tell that to your grandmother and she's thinking, oh, Elrond. Elrond, but with your crazy sci-fi stuff. And then you just look at her and go, yes, Grandma. Kind of like that. Kind of. Sort of.
And then you don't clarify further.
Mm-hmm.
I will make a counter argument though. Conehead.
Conehead.
Yeah. Have you recently looked at their models?
No.
Oh, let me show you real quick. Yeah, so just double checking their model range. I'm going to argue that if you have an annoying relative, like you have that one relative who will not stop quoting movies at you all the time, you might, depending on the model kit, you might get some Conehead jokes. But outside of that, I honestly think they're probably fine. Yeah. Yeah. Thursday, do you have any thoughts?
Like I said, you have to actually know the lore to understand why the Eldari are bad, so they'll be fine. I mean, that's the thing about elves. They look fine, and people judge on appearances.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, so next we have a relatively new army, Imperial Agents. So these guys are Imperium, so you would think that they're probably going to be okay. I have some... I think it really depends on the model. Looking at the patrol box, right? So we've got some interesting mixes in there. So we've got a combination of heavy religious iconography, a little bit of body horror. We've got some serious Mad Max vibes. So they're a little bit on the gnarly side, especially as far as the Imperium is concerned.
But since all of the models are small, the family would have to look pretty closely to start noticing that.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely one of those, like, as long as your grandma is not standing in the store looking at the box as she buys it, you might be able to pass it off just because, like, unless, people are like, hand it around the room so we can see. Like, maybe avoid that.
I'm definitely going to put that at only your coolest relatives.
See, and I think we could put it at the prudish relative check, just because you can kind of pass it off as Mad Max.
Well,
but on the other hand, the moment that you have to answer some questions, I mean, like, you can kind of vague your way through it. It's like, yeah, these are some assassin dudes, and, this is an army.
Mm-hmm.
And we need a couple chaplains, because this is an army. Like, I think I think you can kind of like BS your way through it.
Oh.
I don't know. What do you think, though?
I don't know. The religious scroll with skull face. I think people are gonna. That's gonna lead to some questions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll throw it at like only your coolest relatives, maybe. Or do we want to bump it up to there will be questions?
I'm saying only coolest relatives.
Okay. Cool. So next we have the Black Templars. So this is an Imperium Space Marine army. And the thing about the Black Templars is that they are the most visually, like, cultish, I guess. They're the most, like, they have the most religious iconography of most of the Space Marines. They've got the robes, they've got the full candle thing going on. Like, they look like they are, like, crusaders. So, they're, I mean, based on your company, maybe it's fine. I'm gonna say that you're probably gonna have a prudish relative check, though, at least.
Yeah, no, I was definitely put that at prudish relative check.
Yeah. So, and like I think that there are ways you can get around it, but this is absolutely a wall for you. Next up we have Blood Angels. And to be completely honest, like despite their lore, I think they're probably fine. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, the most difficult problem you're gonna have with this army is just the name. And you can probably explain that away pretty easily.
Yeah, probably. Like, depending on present company, space vampires might actually encourage people to like figure out what the game is, so you might have to have that risk. But I think they're probably okay. Like visually, there's nothing egregious about them. There's nothing weird. So probably okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next we have the Chaos Knights. So Imperial and Chaos Knights are, no matter what, there's going to be questions because the boxes are massive. You're buying a mech. So no matter what, you're going to have something to answer for, and somebody is going to know that like you are somebody else's favorite relative because they're expensive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't some of the Chaos Knights mech suits come with tentacles?
I think so. I know that they're covered in like spikes. It wouldn't surprise me if you could like have a little bit of flesh.
Mm, yeah.
A
few of them. Yeah. So. Especially if you get that one, I mean, the highest I would possibly go is only your coolest relative.
Yeah, I'm thinking kind of the same. Cause I mean, like, we're well past. There's going to be questions. There will be. And then the next thing is that if you've got people who want to actually see you like pull it out of the box or like see what one looks like assembled, you're gonna have to haul that thing out of your room and then show it off to your relatives. I feel like this is definitely I think we're at an only your coolest relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean the other option would be like keep it on the tabletop just because then you avoid everything about that. What do you think? That's probably a good place for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, cool. So next we have General Chaos Space Marines, and I'm gonna say this one, the highest it can possibly be is only your coolest relatives, because we looked at some of those models earlier.
Yeah.
The zombie on space mech scorpion.
Which, first of all, there is no part of that sentence that is not awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm desperate for one.
Yeah. Maybe, give that gift privately.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is probably a keep it on the tabletop. Like, your tabletop buddies are gonna think it's really cool. And trying to bring that thing home, maybe not the wisest idea. Just a possibility. So we're gonna move right along. Adeptus Custodes.
I would say that it's probably fine. They are literally the golden boys.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'd put it too. In fact, I would argue that they're probably, of all of them, they're probably the most fine to bring out. Like, there's nothing weird about these guys. It's just a lot of gold. So we're probably good there. Chaos Demons.
Okay, so are we keeping that on the tabletop or not even at gunpoint, dear?
Some of those models, they need such a refresh that I'm gonna say not even at gunpoint for some of them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a case where there's a lot of old models that are very cool. There's a lot of old models that are not. There's a lot of new models that are the stuff of nightmares. You might even get some questions rolling those out depending on what shop you're going to. So this is one of those that I think rides the fine line between keep it on the tabletop and not even at gunpoint. I'm definitely not unwrapping that at Christmas, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
no. So, not even a little bit. Next, we have Dark Angels, and right off the bat, I think they're probably fine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Again, that's with a lot of the Space Marines. I mean, they're just guys in armor for the most part. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you might get a couple of, like, prudish relative checks depending on the model, but, like, if you're going for just the regular base box, I mean, it's fine. It's just some dudes in green. You know, it's probably okay. So next we have, probably my favorite Chaos faction, Death Guard. Those are the zombie Space Marine, the Plague Marines.
Ooh. And, okay, we have the Marines, but what do they have in addition to that?
They have giant gaping maws on their stomachs with slavering tongues. And pustules.
Those. Yeah,
yeah.
Well.
So, this might need to be the best it can be is your coolest relatives.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the only good option here.
Yeah, I'd actually put it at keep it on the tabletop.
I have to agree. Like, they're amazing models. I would love to collect them. But, like, my family's pretty chill, and I would have a hard time explaining that to them. So, probably that's, I don't think they go any higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So next we have the Death Watch.
I'm putting that in the same group as the Blood Angels. The worst thing about that is the name. They're just guys in black mech armor this time, or black power armor this time. It's fine.
Yeah, there's really nothing egregious about them. And they're not even like a fully contained army, so, or at least it doesn't look like that. It's more like you buy Space Marines and then you paint them up. It doesn't really seem to be that big of a deal. So yeah, I think there's nothing really big there. Okay, so Drakari.
Not even at gunpoint.
Not even at gunpoint.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't want to. Not even at gunpoint. There is nothing about. Well, okay. So the pirate ships, though. Like if we're just talking about the pirate ships, I'm gonna say you're probably your coolest relatives because you don't want to answer questions.
Yeah.
No questions whatsoever. You probably don't even want to have to answer questions to your tabletop buddies. So, not even a gunpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know what it is, it's going to invite questions, and if you do know what it is, you don't want that. Okay, Gene Stealer cults.
Okay. This is honestly one of my least favorite armies just by the look.
Same here. They're really ugly.
Yeah.
Like, even the new models.
Yeah.
They just are hideous. Yeah.
But, I mean, they're kind of in the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
And so, look, if your favorite is Gene Stealer cult, I'm not dissing you. It's just how I view the situation. I'm going to say either only your coolest relatives or there will be questions.
Why do you think that high? Honestly, I was going to say keep it on the tabletop.
Huh?
I mean, okay, so it's one of these things where, like, well, no, even if you do look closely, they're gnarly. They've got 4 arms and weird purple skin, and they've got, they do have the cool trucks, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, do you want, if there are questions, do you want to have to explain that?
Yeah, not really.
Not really. Yeah, I personally say keep it on the tabletop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, like, there's some models I think that you're going to be okay unwrapping at Christmas, and there's a lot of other ones where maybe don't, maybe just thank your relative and move on. But Grey Knights.
But I would say probably fine. The only questions you'd get with them is, the price, because...
Oh, they're so expensive.
Yeah, they're big, although I think someone did the math, and since you use so few units in a Grey Knight's army, they're actually relatively cost-conscious.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. That was a Warhammer episode, and they found it was, like, the second most affordable army behind, like, Adeptus Custodes or something. Yeah. Yeah, the individual models are really expensive, but as far as actual looks, like, they They look fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you might get a prudish relative check, but even that, I mean, the only weird one's gonna be the baby carrier. Have you seen the baby carrier?
I have not seen the baby carrier.
Oh.
12 seconds later.
It's a mecha baby Bjorn.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable.
But it's strange, but not in a bad way. So,
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Like,
I mean, I wouldn't say you might get a few questions. You might get a few laughs, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think on the whole, like, it's not creepy, it's not weird, it's not offensive to the senses. It's just goofy looking. Like, I think you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, on the whole, I think Grey Knights deserve their position, and it's probably fine.
Yeah.
It's really not that big of a deal. So once again, we have the Imperial Knights. So they're doing a little bit better than Chaos Knights, I think, just because we don't have to worry about all the Chaos iconography.
Yeah, and so I would put them in it's probably fine. It's a giant robot is what they're gonna think.
Yeah, there's really, like, I mean, you are going to get questions, and the answer is going to be, I like to collect giant robots.
Yeah.
And like, you're not gonna... there's no prudish relatives who are gonna look at that robot and go, oh, like, that's not...
Yeah.
You're gonna be... It's, like, it's gonna be big and unwieldy, but people are not gonna ask too many questions beyond, holy shit, how expensive was that? And where can I get one? And can I see it when it's done? Like, that's gonna be the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Probably. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Astra Militarum.
I would say it's probably going to be fine. They're kind of such a basic army that you could easily confuse them for, well, a modern day army and not sci-fi at all. So, yeah, I would definitely put that at it's probably fine.
Probably fine, yeah. And then, like, the only caveat that I would maybe add is, like, okay, so they just came out with Death Corps of Krieg, and we don't have them on the list because they're so new, but so Death Corps of Krieg, if you're willing to just sort of write them off as World War I think you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Necrons.
Okay. The immortal zombies from before when most races began.
Yeah.
Who have imprisoned their own gods as a battery.
Yeah. Immortal Egyptian space robots.
With robot skulls.
Yeah.
Definitely, probably there will be questions.
Oh, definitely. Like, they invite questions.
Yes.
And depending on who's asking those questions, you may or may not want to get into it.
And the more you explain, the longer you're going to be stuck there telling your relatives what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this is definitely a there will be questions. There's some really cool models. And again, they kind of have, like, the Imperial Knight excuse of, I just like to collect robots. Like, I just want to collect a Terminator army, don't ask, just leave me alone. You can kind of pass them off as that, but, like, they're gonna invite, like, what is this? How does it work? What's happening here? Is this Terminator?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that they're going to upset any prudish relatives unless you open your big fat mouth.
Yeah.
So it just depends. So orcs.
Orcs, I'm circling between probably fine or prudish relative check. Now, I myself have an orc army, and they're generally just okay. They're kind of so goofy that you can easily pass over any kind of thing. They don't really have any... Oh, for people who just love war and that's the only thing they think about, they're doofusly wholesome.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is going to be, like, if you have an extreme prudish relative who just doesn't abide fantasy, you're going to have a really hard time explaining orcs. But if you just explain Lord of the Rings in space, like, maybe they'll get it. So, are we thinking...
Yeah, prudish relative check.
Yeah, prudish relatives.
Tolkien and Mad Max, together at last.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm trying to explain, like, I'm trying to imagine explaining, like, if we opened gifts at your mom's house. Like, how would that go?
My mother is one of the sweetest women who's ever lived.
Oh, I love her to bits and pieces. She's wonderful.
But she would be confused by an orc truck.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking too. Okay, so Adeptus Sororitas, I think directly in the prudish relative check.
I'd actually put it a bit lower because of, forget the mic that they have, where the person driving it...
yeah, the crucifix engines.
Yeah, the crucifix engines. And so they're bound on the outside without armor so that they can take more punishment.
Yeah, they really are kind of the pain and dominatrix army, aren't they?
Yeah, and then they're tanks that look like church organs.
Yeah, there are. I mean,
Yeah.
it cannot get past the prudish relative check.
No, you can't, and maybe only your coolest relatives.
Yeah, that might be it. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be questions, and depending on present company, you don't want to answer them. But, yeah, I think your coolest relatives, like, they might get a giggle out of it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I could see my uncle, like, having a laugh about this.
Yeah.
You know, but I definitely would not open that in front of my grandma.
No.
No. Generic Space Marines.
It's probably fine.
It's probably fine. You're not gonna get many questions. It's what it says on the tin. It's Marines in space, and that's all you gotta say. Okay, but Space Wolves, though.
I would say probably fine again. People in power armor with puppies.
Yeah.
In fact, this would be higher than most of the Space Marines because they have puppies.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. They do. So yeah, I think they're probably fine. Like, even the werewolf guys, you explain it as like they're space werewolves. Nobody, like, it sounds cool, but there's really nothing more to say about that. It's fine. So Tau Empire. This is a great army if you want to just write off your hobby as I collect Gundams. Bluntly.
Yeah, they really need to retool this to give them a few more advantages. And I like Tau.
Yeah, I do too.
And I like the concept of Tau. But for our list, I would argue it's probably fine if you're just looking at the robots and the blue people. You know what? Very few people who aren't in the game are going to have a problem with the communist space cows.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be okay. And
It's only people who already play who kind of dislike Tau.
yeah, like the only like you're probably going to get questions from relatives who would also question your Gundam collection. And don't get me wrong, I've met those relatives, but it's never been that bad. And, like, again, it's robots in space for a war game. Like, I feel like you can just write that off, honestly.
Well,
Yeah, so it's probably fine. Tyranids. So this is my army, and I love them. Thursday, what are your initial thoughts?
well, I'd probably put them higher than the Gene Stealer cult. There's nothing overly bad about them, and we're out of the uncanny valley.
Oh, no, we're not. I think that this is at best to keep it on the tabletop. Because I have brought these out onto the tabletop, and my mom, who is typically very loving and understanding about all of my weird hobbies and my monster obsessions, is freaked out by these things. Like, you have to remember, it's not just the little scythe claw dudes, it's the maliceptors. And, you know, the giant bloated corpse eaters and brain suckers, and
Yeah.
like, you can kind of get away with like a Tyranid warrior, but I don't think that you're going to be able to get away with most of the monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a keep it on the tabletop. Like, and they work on the tabletop. They work really great for our D&D sessions. But I would argue that they're even more disturbing than the Gene Stealer cults, honestly. Like,
Really?
Yeah, just from the reactions that I've gotten from people, like, the common through line is, thank goodness that's not real. Whereas with the Gene Stealer cults, you can pass it off as, yeah, they're just mutated humans. You know? Like, there's some wiggle room you have there, but not Tyranids.
Probably by way of an explanation, when we play Dungeons and Dragons with the family, one of us will often DM, and when we don't have a specific model, we'll just grab something from 40k. So the party will be walking along, roll initiative, suddenly 12 Tyranids are out in front of them, and just it's fun to look at the gasps of shock and panic, and then you say, and before you see a tribe of goblins.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it definitely gets everybody to take games very seriously because, they're confronted with space bugs. So, yeah, it's great for D&D. But yeah, maybe no higher. Okay, so another new army, Leagues of Votan.
They look relatively similar to to Space Marines, just a bit shorter. The heads are kind of strange. You've got the bare-chested guys who remind me a little bit of the Servitors, but I don't think it's going to be close enough to actually make a difference, so we're thinking probably fine.
Yeah, I think they're probably fine. It's dwarves in space. I mean, if you have to, you just explain the plot of, I don't know, Deep Rock Galactic or something. I don't know. Plus, on top of that, there's not really a lot going on with Leagues of Votan yet. Their range is not very big. Like, that combat patrol is kind of all there is besides their vehicles.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, they don't have enough in there for it to be objectionable. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Huh.
But that brings us to our last boy here. At least of the ones that we have. I know that we're missing a couple of armies. But just... Oh yeah, and Slanesh. We don't have Slanesh on the table.
But you all know where that one's going.
Yeah, directly into not even a gunpoint. No, don't do that. Please don't. So, World Eaters. You know that statue of Angron that I showed you earlier?
Uh-huh.
And then the big, like, meaty demon thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is it going keep it on the tabletop or not even gunpoint?
I'm thinking about Angron and I'm veering towards not even at gunpoint.
I'm veering towards not even at gunpoint. That feels like there are no good answers here. Like, the people who are into Warhammer are gonna get it. And the people who are not into Warhammer, no. That's a really hard sell. So, yeah, I think probably not even at gunpoint. So here's the general tier list. What are we thinking? Any updates here?
Overall, I think it's pretty good. We're seeing a definite pattern of Imperium forces, probably okay. And once you get into the more chaosy you get, it's not even at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And then the Xenos are kind of in the middle.
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place. Like, orcs are okay-ish. Necrons are pretty fine, Like, there's nothing overt about them that makes you go, ugh. Although, well, there's a couple of, like, robot Terminator scorpions. But even then, it's robots, so you can kind of pass it off.
Yeah.
But, like, being a Tyranid player, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't go well, trying to bring those things out of the box into normal society. So, yeah, probably not the best idea. But your tabletop friends are going to get it,
So where would you put Harlequin on these?
Ooh. I think that they actually go in the prudish relative check.
I would say there are going to be questions because military guys dressed up as jesters, I mean, people are just... That just invites questions.
It does. You're going to have send in the clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if Harlequins were on this list, which sadly they're not, they would probably go into there would be some questions. I would put them in the prudish relative check because, like, it looks like you're collecting space clowns, which not going to upset any Christian relatives, but your prudish relatives are going to go, what are we doing with our lives? So I'd put them a little higher, but is that everything? Do we have everything? I'm trying to think if we're missing. Yeah, I think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. Alright, so, to the best of our abilities, this is what you might want to consider for your Christmas season. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to make your own tier list with this set, this was made by Marcus D, so thank you to them. Yeah, so y'all have a wonderful Christmas. We will see you next time. Take care, have fun, and happy building.
Have a good one.